What's up, Internet? Cory Zamier here, collecting with Cory. It's time to check out my PlayStation Vita collection. Let's go. Alright guys, the PlayStation Vita is a system that really has changed for the worse for me over time. Around the age of when it first came out, I got it used and refurbished, I believe, for about $120, which is a really good deal. And one of the main reasons I got the system was because I was really into handheld gaming, and I kept listening to podcasts like, I think it was Podcast Beyond, Greg Miller, Colin Moriarty, and them, always speaking very highly of the Vita. And I had PlayStation Network getting free games for it, and had a huge library of games on the PlayStation Vita that were just downloads from that. So you didn't really need to buy physical games. I still did, but I noticed over time I was kind of buying games that I really had no intention of playing. And this is basically me explaining why my PlayStation Vita collection is as small as it is. It might actually be smaller than it was last time I showed you guys. So, let's get into it. This first one here was actually a gift that I received from Rob Mitchell, the video game hoarder, at the latest Long Island Retro Gaming Expo. It's Call of Duty Black Ops Declassified. I've not played it. I don't know how it plays, but hopefully it's fun. But I honestly don't know, because I've never played it. This next one is, I believe it's an indie game? No, it can't be an indie game if it's from Ubisoft. I don't know what I'm talking about. Child of Light. Looks like a kind of RPG, side-scrolling, maybe action RPG kind of game. Heard great things about it. I believe it was up for like some kind of Game of the Year back in 2014 when it came out. I don't know. Didn't play it. It's one of the games that survived the PS Vita purge, so hopefully I will someday. Fighting games are always something that's fun for me to pick up and play, so I decided to keep this one. Dead or Alive 5+. Dead or Alive isn't really my favorite fighting series. It's actually, I don't know, this is going to sound stupid, but I feel like compared to most fighters, it's a lot simpler. A lot simpler to play, a lot more throw-based, so I don't know. This one you could actually kind of say was one of the reasons I had a PlayStation Vita very early on. Dragon's Crown. And I remember pre-ordering this from GameStop, back when GameStop used to, well, I guess they still do pre-order bonuses and stuff, but for some reason they never delivered on whatever the pre-order bonus was for this game. I think it was probably like an art book or something. And for the longest time, when I would look at my like account page on GameStop.com, it would say I had a pending order for the art book for this. So for the longest time, they were still supposedly trying to get me this art book that never showed up. But put about 15 hours into this game and before I burned out on it. Very fun beat 'em up style RPG with leveling up. Plays 6 different classes. Very fun game. Very interesting art style with some, I guess, controversial character designs, but very fun. Also available on the PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 3, or maybe just the PlayStation 3, not the PlayStation 4. I don't know. It was in that weird time when there was a Vita, but there wasn't a PlayStation 4, so it was probably a PS3 game. This one survived the purge, honestly, because it kind of looks like Diablo when I look at it. And that is the Dungeon Hunter Alliance, another Ubisoft game. Definitely looks like Diablo, and it's also cheap enough that I'd basically have to give it away. Alright, this next one I had high hopes for. They made changes to this. I guess you have to kind of innovate with new titles in a series. But I feel like the story was a little bit weird in this one compared to other Little Big Planet games. Little Big Planet Vita had you using the back touch for some things in the gameplay, which was always, I always felt the back touch. There's only one game I could think of, and I'll talk about it a little bit later in this video, that the back touch really, really worked. And I don't feel like it was this game. But something I might go back to at some point, so I'm holding on to it. Next up is Muramasa Rebirth. I believe this is a port of a Wii game, Muramasa the Demon Blade or something like that. Very interesting, action-packed, side-scroller, kind of an RPG, kind of not. Never played it, but it survived the purge because I might want to. Another main reason I wanted to pick up the Vita, PlayStation. Persona 4 Golden. I played a ton, and by a ton I mean about 20 hours of Persona 3 back when it first came out. But the constant, like, deal with school, deal with your social links, now go back into the dungeon kind of, like, grind was getting to me. And to be honest, it kind of happened with this game too. I put the first 20 hours of this game in like a weekend. I'm pretty sure it was like over the course of maybe 3 days. Absolutely wonderful RPG. Just something that you really have to have the endurance for, in my opinion. Next up, and this is probably the best kart racer that I'd played up until Mario Kart 8. Sonic and All-Stars Racing Transformed. Definitely check it out. Really fun game. I played this mostly on the Wii U, I believe, but I do have it on the Vita, and I highly recommend it. Assuming that the Vita version doesn't just suck, you know. These are a fun game on handheld. Super Monkey Ball, Banana Blitz. Whether it's the 3DS or the Vita, I highly recommend you have a Monkey Ball game with you, especially if you just want to have something to pick up and play every once in a while. Next up is a game that survived the purge, not because I've played it, but because it's a Tales game. Tales of Hearts R is a Tales game, and I keep telling myself that one day, I will give the Tales series another try. I played Tales of Destiny 1 way back in the day. Had it in my collection, and, well, back then I wouldn't call it a collection, I just had it as a kid. And I've never played a Tales game ever since then. I've been interested in playing them. I like the combat style. It's interesting, it keeps you on your toes. But I've never pulled the trigger. I own a lot of Tales games in my collection on the Xbox 360, the PlayStation 2, the Vita. Haven't put the time into them, though. Next up is, in my opinion, by far, not even really questionable, the best game to use every aspect of the system, Tearaway. I played this, I believe I got this Christmas 3 years ago. I think it was like one of the first Christmases I had with Alicia. And this game, absolutely amazing. Like I said, the only game I've played on the Vita that properly uses the back touch. You use that to manipulate the environment around you. Sometimes you have to use it to, like, propel your character up through the air, depending on what the environment demands of you. Absolutely wonderful game, wonderful story. You could play this also on the PlayStation 4. They came up with another version of it. I don't know how they would do the controls for, like, the back touch on the PlayStation 4. And also, the front-facing camera on your Vita plays a big part in this game. I'm not going to spoil why, but if you've played this game, you know why. And I don't know how they would really translate to PlayStation 4, so probably the best way to play it is still on the Vita. I would highly recommend it. Next up, another game that, kind of like Monkey Ball, that you would want on a handheld. Touch My Katamari. Sounds so weird. I was an early adopter with the original Katamari game on PlayStation 2. I saw it being played at a game store I was hanging out at, and I went home, scrounged up my money, and had to go to a GameStop to pick it up. And I enjoyed it. I didn't get very good at it. This one I have yet to put in my Vita, but I've also have yet to turn my Vita on since probably 2016. So, maybe in the future I will actually play that game. This next one is a series that I have never gotten into, and I only know about because of watching channels like Happy Console Gamer, who are very big fans of this series. And without them, I wouldn't even know how to pronounce it. Ease. I would have said Wise. I don't know. Memories of Celceta for the Vita. This is not the special edition or whatever. I just picked it up for like $17 at a GameStop and never actually played it. It looks like an action RPG. I'm not really sure how the story goes. I feel like whenever I read about the story of Ease, it's kind of like they keep redoing the same thing. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. But I don't know. Maybe it's a remake. Who knows? And the last game I have to show you is a sealed game, which I don't know if it was like that or if me dragging it across the floor just fucked it up a little bit. But that is Trails of Cold Steel, The Legend of Heroes, or The Legend of Heroes Trails of Cold Steel. This is the first game in that series. This is actually a box set, special edition, that has enough room to hold the second game, which has already come out, but I haven't picked up. And I haven't picked it up because I haven't even opened this. It's an RPG series, started on the PSP from what I know, and I just saw this box one day when I was in a GameStop, back when I was going through my Vita phase like 2 years ago, and I just had to have it. And because it's still so cool, it looks great on a shelf, to be honest. I keep it in the collection. Maybe one day I will crack it open. Maybe one day I'll actually play it. But that's going to do it for this PlayStation Vita collection for the year of 2018. Will this collection grow? I don't know. To be honest, unlike a lot of my collections, I feel like I'm very happy with where my PlayStation Vita collection is. And with the exception of, I can't even think of like any limited run game that could come out that would really change my mind. Because I had a few on the system, like Saturday Morning RPG, and I got rid of it because it was just so expensive and I was never going to play it. So, to be honest, I really don't know what game I want most for the PlayStation Vita. I will say, if we're just spitballing here, if they were to make a portable version of Persona 5, and I'll even give you the name for it, Atlas, you can have this one, Persona 5 Platinum, I'd be into it. I feel like with that art style, you can put that on the Vita, no problem. But that is going to do it for this collection video. Most wanted game, something that's fictional, that might not ever happen. Like the video, subscribe if you're new, and as always, keep it real, Internet. I love you guys.